When you trust God fully, not partially, not cautiously, not only when life is comfortable, but completely and without reservation, something profound begins to shift within you. Because trust is not merely a feeling, it is a decision that shapes how you interpret reality, respond to adversity, and anchor your hope. Education, history, and lived human experience all show that trust is the foundation upon which resilience is built, and spiritual trust goes even deeper because it reorients the mind away from fear and toward meaning. Many people say they trust God, yet their hearts are still ruled by anxiety, control, and constant worry, not because they are faithless, but because they misunderstand what true trust requires. Full trust does not mean the absence of questions. It means the refusal to let uncertainty dictate your obedience or your peace. It is the understanding that limited human vision cannot invalidate infinite wisdom. When you trust God fully, you accept that delay is not denial, that silence is not abandonment, and that struggle is not proof of failure. Throughout history, the strongest individuals were not those spared from hardship, but those who learned to interpret hardship as a classroom rather than a courtroom. Education teaches us that growth often happens under pressure, and spiritual wisdom adds that pressure is often the environment where trust matures. Many people want the outcome of trust without the discipline of surrender, but surrender is not weakness, it is alignment with a reality larger than the self. To trust God fully is to release the illusion that you are in complete control, an illusion that exhausts the mind and fractures the soul. Human beings were never designed to carry the full weight of the future alone, and anxiety is often the symptom of trying to manage what was never meant to be managed by human strength. When trust deepens, fear loses its authority, not because circumstances immediately improve, but because perspective does. You begin to see setbacks not as verdicts, but as redirections, not as punishments, but as preparation. Education shows that meaning reduces suffering, and trust gives suffering a context that despair cannot provide. People often measure God's faithfulness by immediate results, but wisdom teaches that the true faithfulness is revealed over time through patterns, not moments. If God were absent in difficulty, then perseverance itself would be impossible, yet history is filled with individuals who endured loss, rejection, uncertainty, and waiting, and still emerged with clarity, strength, and purpose. Trust is what carried them when evidence was scarce. To trust fully is to obey without guarantees, to move forward without complete explanations, and to believe that what is unseen is not unreal. This kind of trust reshapes character. It produces patience where impatience once lived, courage where fear once ruled, and humility where pride once insisted on control. Education emphasizes that habits shape identity, and trust is a habit of thought. Practiced daily through choices, choosing hope over panic, obedience over convenience, integrity over shortcuts. When you trust God fully, you stop interpreting every closed door as rejection and start seeing discernment at work. You learn that not every opportunity is a blessing and not every disappointment is a loss. Some delays protect you from paths you are not prepared to walk, and some struggles strengthen you for responsibilities you have not yet received. This does not romanticize pain, it contextualizes it. Trust does not deny suffering, but it refuses to let suffering have the final word. Many people struggle with trust because they project human inconsistency onto divine faithfulness, forgetting that human failure does not define eternal reliability. Education teaches us to evaluate sources, and a trustworthy source is one that remains consistent over time. God's faithfulness is not proven by the absence of storms, but by presence within them. When you trust fully, you stop demanding that life makes sense before you move forward. You understand that clarity often follows obedience, not the other way around. This kind of trust transforms prayer from negotiation into alignment, from anxiety-filled requests into grounded surrender. You stop asking only for outcomes and start asking for wisdom, strength, and endurance. Over time, your inner life stabilizes because it is no longer dependent on circumstances that fluctuate. Education shows that emotional regulation improves when people anchor themselves to stable beliefs, and full trust provides that anchor. When disappointment comes, as it inevitably will, it does not destroy you because your hope was never rooted in perfect outcomes, but in faithful guidance. When success comes, it does not inflate you because you understand that favor is stewardship, not entitlement. Trust cultivates gratitude in abundance and perseverance in lack. It frees you from comparison because you no longer measure your life against someone else's timeline. You understand that purpose unfolds uniquely, and rushing it often leads to regret. To trust fully is to believe that nothing is wasted, not your tears, not your waiting, not your obedience in unseen places. Education teaches that systems work even when individual components cannot see the full design, and trust accepts that you are part of a larger story still being written. Many people fear trusting God fully because they worry about losing themselves. But true trust does not erase identity, it refines it. It strips away false attachments and reveals what is essential. You become less reactive, less desperate, and more grounded. You stop living in survival mode and start living with intention. Even when outcomes differ from expectations, trust allows you to say, I may not understand this yet, but I am not alone in it. That sentence alone has carried generations through unimaginable trials. Full trust does not mean you will never stumble, doubt, or feel weary. It means you will not stay down because your strength is not sourced from your own certainty, but from a faithfulness that does not fluctuate with emotion. Over time, you begin to notice patterns of provision, protection, and guidance that were invisible when you were rushing or resisting. You realize that some prayers were answered differently because a different answer was necessary. Education shows that wisdom often comes in hindsight, and trust gives you the patience to wait for that wisdom without losing hope. When you trust God fully, your life becomes a testimony not of ease, but of endurance, not of perfection, but of purpose. And this is the quiet, unshakable truth. Trust does not fail because it is not rooted in human strength. And God does not fail because faithfulness is not something He does occasionally, it is who He is. Trust rarely begins with peace. It begins with tension, resistance, and an internal struggle between what the mind wants to control and what the heart is being asked to release. Education, psychology, and spiritual wisdom all agree on this reality. Human beings are wired to seek certainty, predictability, and control as a way to feel safe. Yet true trust requires stepping beyond what can be fully managed or explained. Surrender is uncomfortable precisely because it confronts pride, fear, and the illusion of self-sufficiency. When you are asked to trust, you are also asked to admit that your understanding is limited, your strength is finite, and your control is incomplete. This admission feels threatening at first, not because it is wrong, but because the ego has learned to equate control with survival. Many people want peace before they surrender, but peace does not precede trust, it follows it. Peace is the fruit, not the seed. Education teaches that anxiety increases when individuals attempt to control outcomes beyond their influence, and surrender directly challenges this pattern by redirecting focus from outcomes to alignment. To surrender does not mean to stop caring, to become passive, or to abandon responsibility. It means to release the belief that everything depends solely on you. This shift is difficult because pride whispers that letting go is failure, while fear warns that surrender invites loss. Yet over time, those who surrender discover that what is released is not safety, but strain, not purpose, but pressure. Surrender strips away the exhausting need to micromanage life and replaces it with a steadier confidence rooted in trust rather than tension. Peace begins to emerge not when circumstances suddenly improve, but when inner resistance softens. Education shows that cognitive relief often comes when individuals stop fighting realities they cannot change and instead focus on responding wisely to what is within their reach. Spiritual surrender operates in the same way, inviting alignment over anxiety. When you trust fully, you stop demanding guarantees before obedience, and you stop postponing peace until every question is answered. You learn that uncertainty does not equal danger, and that waiting does not equal abandonment. Surrender teaches patience by slowing the impulse to rush outcomes, and humility by reminding the mind that wisdom is not measured by control. This process challenges pride deeply because pride insists on understanding before obedience, while trust moves forward without full clarity. Many people resist surrender because they fear losing their identity. Yet surrender does not erase the self, it refines it. It reveals where identity has been tied to performance, outcomes, or approval rather than purpose and truth. As surrender deepens, peace grows quietly, steadily, and internally. It becomes less dependent on external validation and more grounded in inner assurance. Education emphasizes that emotional regulation improves when individuals release unrealistic expectations, and surrender does exactly that by replacing rigid demands with flexible trust. Over time, fear loses its dominance because it no longer dictates every decision. You begin to notice that peace is not the absence of challenges, but the presence of confidence within them. Surrender also reorders priorities, teaching discernment between what deserves effort and what requires release. When you trust fully, you stop carrying burdens that were never meant to be yours, and this lightening of the soul creates space for clarity, gratitude, and resilience. Peace arrives gradually, not as an emotional surge, but as a stable state of being that remains even when circumstances fluctuate. Education teaches that lasting change is often subtle rather than dramatic, and peace born of surrender follows this pattern. It settles into your thoughts, your responses, and your expectations. You react less impulsively, worry less excessively, and rest more deeply. Surrender replaces constant striving with intentional living and anxiety with acceptance. This does not mean you stop striving for growth or excellence. It means your striving is no longer fueled by fear of failure or loss. Trust reframes effort as stewardship rather than desperation. Peace becomes possible because the weight of proving, protecting, and predicting is no longer crushing the spirit. In surrender, you learn that peace is not something you chase, but something that meets you when alignment replaces resistance. And this is the lasting lesson. Trust demands surrender first, but what it gives in return is not loss, it is rest, not confusion, but clarity, and not weakness, but a peace strong enough to stand even when the world remains uncertain. Delay often feels like rejection to the human mind because we are conditioned to equate speed with care and immediacy with importance. Yet education, history, and spiritual wisdom repeatedly show that some of the most meaningful developments occur slowly, quietly, and without visible affirmation. When answers do not come quickly and circumstances remain unchanged, the heart begins to whisper that it has been forgotten, overlooked, or abandoned, not because this is true, but because uncertainty is uncomfortable and silence leaves room for fear to speak. Human beings naturally seek reassurance, signs, and confirmation, and when those signals are absent, imagination fills the gap, often with doubt and discouragement. However, delay is not abandonment. It is often preparation happening beneath the surface, beyond immediate perception. Education teaches us that growth is rarely visible at the moment it is occurring, much like roots developing underground before a tree ever breaks through the soil. Silence does not mean inactivity. It often means work is being done at a depth that cannot yet be seen. Many people misinterpret quiet seasons as punishment or neglect, when in reality those seasons are classrooms where patience is strengthened, character is refined, and reliance is shifted away from constant external validation. Trust matures most deeply when reassurance is limited, because it forces the heart to anchor itself in conviction rather than evidence. If trust depended only on visible outcomes, it would collapse the moment circumstances turned uncertain. Education reminds us that endurance is built through delayed gratification, not instant reward, and the same principle applies spiritually. Waiting stretches perception, challenges assumptions, and exposes where faith has been tied too tightly to outcomes rather than purpose. Silence can feel heavy because it removes distractions and reveals what has been avoided: fear, impatience, control, and the desire to rush timing that is not yet aligned. Yet it is in this quiet that discernment sharpens. Without constant noise, the mind becomes more attentive, the heart more honest, and the spirit more receptive. Delay often protects from stepping into responsibilities, relationships, or opportunities before readiness has been formed. What feels like being held back is sometimes being held together. Education shows that premature advancement often leads to instability, while delayed development produces durability. Silence, then, is not absence, it is intention. It creates space for inner alignment, for motives to be examined, and for dependence to shift from external signs to internal assurance. Many people look back on seasons they once resented and later recognize them as turning points where wisdom was gained, resilience was built, and direction quietly changed. Delay teaches humility by reminding us that timing is not ours to command, and silence teaches trust by asking us to believe without constant confirmation. This does not mean the waiting is easy. It often feels long, lonely, and confusing. Yet difficulty does not equal abandonment, and discomfort does not equal neglect. Education tells us that the mind grows restless when outcomes are uncertain, but trust learns to rest even when clarity is incomplete. In waiting seasons, faith is refined from expectation into endurance. You begin to understand that presence is not always loud and guidance is not always dramatic. Sometimes direction comes not through sudden answers, but through gradual clarity, changing desires, closed doors, and inner conviction. Silence invites reflection, and reflection produces wisdom. Delay invites patience, and patience produces strength. Over time, trust learns to distinguish between absence and invisibility, between neglect and preparation. When reassurance finally comes, it often reveals that nothing was wasted, not the waiting, not the tears, not the unanswered questions. Education teaches that meaning often becomes clear only in hindsight, and silence trains the heart to wait for that understanding without collapsing into despair. Trust that survives quiet seasons becomes resilient, grounded, and unshaken by fluctuation. It no longer depends on constant signs to remain steady. Instead, it rests in the understanding that guidance does not cease simply because it cannot be heard immediately. Delay is not abandonment, it is timing at work. Silence is not absence, it is depth forming. And when trust matures through waiting, it emerges stronger, clearer, and more enduring than it could ever be through constant reassurance alone.